All right, today we're going to be showing how to create a strategy using the EXTB or the FXCM Trading Station Strategy Builder. However you get to the website, you can type it in directly or you got here from some link. It should look like this. You can see up here at the top, we've got several tabs. We've got a buy, a sell tab, exit buy, exit sell, options, and a code tab. Once we finish creating all of our conditions here, this is where the code is going to be displayed, okay? So that's kind of the output. So what we want to do is we want to work our way from left to right, filling these out to create our code. Let's start over here with the buy tab, and what we're going to do today is just show an example of a simple two moving average crossover strategy, okay? So what we need to do here is click this add group button. You can see it's going to pop that box up. And what we need to do inside of this by group one, we need to create whatever conditions we want. So for a two moving average crossover strategy, we're going to create a condition of an indicator. Select the indicator tab here. Exponential moving average. If we wanted a simple moving average, of course, come down and grab the simple moving average or moving average envelope, whatever we wanted to work with here. For our purposes, again, we're doing the exponential moving average. We've got options here about if we want to shift that data, if we want that to operate on the close price or some other indicator value, okay, or something besides the close price, open, high, low, close. Okay, those are all kind of detailed things. For right now, let's just leave it on close price. That's what primarily about 98% of people probably do anyways. And we're not going to shift it to the right or to the left. We're going to leave it right as it's calculated on the bar that it's calculated on, have it display there. And let's just go ahead and change this to a period of 8. Okay, that's going to be our fast moving average. And for a buy signal, we want the fast moving average to cross above a slow moving average. So this is exactly the operator we want here. We want crosses over comparison. And we want it to cross over what? Our slow moving average, our EMA, with some higher periods. For instance, say 34 periods here. Click save on that and you'll notice now that condition we just created is here in the buying group. Okay, now we could keep adding conditions. Maybe we wanted to add a filter for a certain RSI value or ADX level or stochastic value. We could do any of those things by simply adding condition and creating whatever additional conditions we want. Okay, we could also split this out and have several different buy groups here by clicking the plus button here to add a different group. So we could have two completely separate scenarios that would trigger buy trade setups, okay? For this example, again, let's keep it simple. We're just having a two moving average crossover. We've got our buy condition created. Let's move on to the sell. Same thing, we're going to click the add group. We're going to click add condition now, and we're just going to flip that around. Again, we're not comparing price here. We want to look at an indicator, and that particular indicator we want is exponential moving average. Select that from the list. We want to leave it set to close for the source, the data it's evaluating. We want to leave it unshifted. And again, let's make this an 8 period so it matches our buying criteria here. These will all be variables that are exposed in our code, so we can easily amend them, okay? Indicator. And we want that not crosses over this time, but for our selling condition, we want it to look for a cross under. So we're going to change that to cross under. And again, we want it to cross under what? The EMA slow value. And that's just that 34 period exponential moving average. So we're going to go ahead and change the periods to 34. And so our full sell condition here, anytime the 8 period EMA crosses under the 34 period EMA, it's going to initiate a sell. Okay, now we could do things, again, if we wanted an EMA to simply cross over a particular price, we could set that up by flipping over to price here, or we could set some other constant value, okay? Again, for our purposes, simple two moving average crossover. Let's just keep it super simple here. Click save on this. We now have our selling criteria. Same thing here. If we made some mistake, we need to change this. We can click on that little edit box there. It will pop this up and exactly how it is and give us an opportunity to modify it. If we need to quickly remove everything, we can click this remove all. we could click the X here. And again, if we wanted to add a completely separate group, like some different logic, then we could click this Add Group here. In our case, again, we don't need that. If we click back on the buy tab, we can see, okay, we've got our buy group 1. That's our one condition we created there, where our 8 EMA crosses over our 34 period EMA to create a buy. And we've got our sell condition where our 8 period EMA crosses under our 34 period EMA to create a sell. Let's move on now to our exit criteria. We don't have to put anything in here, okay? And you can see that here. It says they are optional because a lot of times, in particular with close and reverse type of strategies, you're going to want to simply close the opposing signal. Close the open trade when you get an opposing signal. So like a 2 moving average crossover strategy, we don't really need a specific exit scenario here because we're just going to close the buy whenever we get a sell signal. Okay, so for these purposes, we'll leave this blank. But if you wanted to add anything in here, it's just like creating a buy or sell condition. We just come in here, create an exit group, add our unique condition, whatever we want, to trigger a close of our buy trades, and set it up using these operators up here. Okay. Now again, we're not going to do that, so let's make sure we remove that because we don't really need it for this strategy. Same thing for the exit of a sell position. We don't need anything there. So let's move over here to our last tab that we need to complete before we can get our code, and that's our options tab. So let's give this strategy name a unique name. Let's call it custom EMA crossover tutorial. Okay, since that's what we're doing here, let's put a lot size of 1. A 1 refers to the smallest incremental lot size enabled on your FXCM trading station account. Most of the times that's 1,000 units when dealing with currencies. If you're on CFDs, check the minimum contract size there of what 1 refers to. Allow trading, of course we want that set to yes. Some of you may wonder, why exactly do you even have an option for this? Of course I want it to trade. But sometimes you might want to create maybe just alerts, where you just want to receive alerts on something. You don't actually want to trade the signals. You just want to be alerted when something happens. That's where you could use this and set it to no, so you don't actually execute trades, but you just receive alerts when these things happen. Close and reverse. This is what I was talking about here when we didn't need the exit buy and exit sell criteria, because we're going to set this close and reverse to yes. So what this means is every time we get a sell signal, if we have a buy trade open, we're going to close that buy trade and then proceed to execute the sell. And vice versa. If we have a sell trade open and we get a buy signal, we're going to close the sell and then proceed to executing the buy. Now, magic number, this is important. When you actually apply the strategy, it doesn't really matter right here for creating the code, but again, it's just exposing this parameter as an input option for you. What this controls is essentially it's a unique identifier for every trade that this strategy will place on your account. So this is really important if you're ever going to run the same strategy on the same currency pair in more than one instance. So for instance, say I want to run this strategy on Euro USD 5-minute chart, and I also want to run an instance on Euro USD hourly chart. So those two strategies running independently of each other might produce different signals, okay? It's very important that they both have a different magic number. So say one of them has a magic number of 111, and another one has a magic number of 222. So that way the strategy knows which signal came from what program. Is it from the 5-minute chart or the hourly chart, or whatever instances you have running, okay? If you use the same magic number for each instance of the strategy, that's going to create some problems for your strategy to properly identify and track the trades that belong to it, okay? Now, if you're running just one strategy per currency pair all the time, then it doesn't really matter. Stop loss, trailing stop, take profit are all pretty self-explanatory. If you leave them set to 0, then nothing's going to happen at all. It will not set a stop loss. It will not set a take profit. It will not have any stop loss to trail. If you do want to put something in here, just say 100 pips. You can have a 100 pip stop loss and say a 200 pip take profit. Simply input those values in there. If you want that stop loss to trail, simply input the increments you want it to trail by. If you input 1 every time this strategy, any trade moves 1 pip profit in our favor, it's going to move your stop loss in your favor 1 pip. If you set it to 10, every 10 pips of incremental profit are going to shift your stop loss in your favor 10 pips, so on and so forth. If you set it to 20, it's going to go there. All right. Also important to note here, this trailing stop, it operates just like the trailing stop feature inside of the FXCM trading station platform. So you can see here this error message you'll get if you try to use a value between 1 and 10. All right, and that's because basically we have 1, which is a dynamic trailing stop where it trails at pip by pip by pip. And then if we want to go incrementally, it has to be in increments of 10 or higher for a fixed trailing stop. It's just the way that it is inside of the FXCM trading station platform, and so we mimic that here so that way the experience and the mechanism for the trailing stop operations is exactly the same as you expect in what you see inside of the FXCM trading station platform. You can modify this in the code if you wanted to create a unique trailing stop and do values like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. Okay. Otherwise, if you're going to use the trailing stop kind of straight out of the box, it's going to be either 0, which is no trailing stop, 1 for a dynamic trailing stop, or 10 or higher. Okay. Anything, if it's between 1 and 10, again, you're going to get that error message there because we can't have that. Okay. So in our case, let's just set it to 1 and have a dynamic trailing stop. So it's just going to trail pip by pip by pip. Once we have that completed, now we can click over on our code tab up here, back up at the top. And boom, voila, you're a master programmer. Here is all of your code. Congratulations, we have just in the short 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever, created 253 lines of code here, all right? Guaranteed to execute exactly the way we set it up. So that's how we create our strategy. And one last step here, what we want to do now, if we want to actually go ahead and start playing around with this, okay, we need to get it inside of our FXCM trading station platform. I'll do a separate video to show that, but this is where you can get your code. And the last step here, so you can get the actual file, the LUA file, click the export strategy. And if you're in Google Chrome like I am here, it's just going to download it right here into your downloads. Same thing if you're in Mozilla, it's going to download it into your downloads. Internet Explorer, same thing, it's going to download it into your downloads. It might pop up a pop-up box asking you, hey, where do you want to save this file? Okay, so just save it, and there you go. You've got your strategy as a text document, or actually a Lua file, where you can open up in any text editor if you're a programmer, and you can start modifying it right away from there. Now, if you're not a programmer and you need this tool to actually create all of your strategies and everything that you need to do, then you're going to want to take this file and drag it onto any open market scope chart, and that will install it into your FXCM trading station platform where it will be available for you to use. That's how easy it is to create a strategy with the FXCM Trading Station Strategy Builder, or what we call the EXTB. It's an extension builder. Thanks so much for watching the tutorial. If you have any questions, visit our frequently asked questions page, our FAQ page, visit our website, or send us an email.